Today we'll be bringing one of my favorite decks, Mardu Blade, into a Pauper League. Not only is this deck super fun to play, but it also won't break the bank. The whole thing is only about $10 on Magic Online. So, after you like, comment, and subscribe, why not give the deck a whirl yourself? Thanks for watching. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome into another Pauper video. My name is Royce, and I'm really excited for this one because we're going to be covering one of my favorite decks, and that is Mardu Blade. Whenever I'm at my LGS, this is the deck that I most love to pull out in just friendly games with my friends, and whenever I don't really know what to play, this is my comfort pick to enter the actual tournament as well. So before we go into the actual deck, I wanted to give some context and talk about some things that this deck isn't, because there are various different Mardu and Boros decks that look pretty similar but differ in a few key ways. So let's go ahead and jump into some of those. The first one that I want to talk about is Mardu Ephemerate, and as far as I know, this deck was sort of coined or discovered, pioneered, however you want to say it, by a fellow YouTuber, Snapbolt, I believe. And the way this deck works is you are basically trying to get to one of the emblem creatures, which is Goliath Paladin or Palace Sentinels, to either get the initiative or get the Monarch, and you're trying to sort of maintain one of those emblems while getting continuous ETB value off of your creatures through Ephemerate. Ephemerate exiles a creature and returns it to the battlefield, and then does it again during the next turn, so you're getting recursive value off of your Inspectors, off of Dawnbringer Cleric, off of Inspiring Overseer, Ardent Elementalist, to sort of Ephemerate loop, kind of like Archaeomancer and Jeskai Ephemerate, and of course your emblem creatures to venture further through the Undercity or to draw more cards, and then Refurbish Familiar to pick apart your opponent's hand. So we're not quite doing that. We don't have the Ephemerate package, and we don't have the emblem creatures. Then we have Mardu Synth, and this is sort of, I think, the grandfather of all of these decks. This is pretty similar. It's playing the recursion package of Glinthawks and Core Skyfishers to get more artifact value, but this deck I would say is just a little bit more aggressive than the rest. It's trying to get in under your opponent and actually close out the game. Yes, it generates card advantage, but this is a deck that says I have to win at some point. Why not now? It also plays things like Makeshift Munitions, which shows that it does have a little bit of aggression and is trying to get some game-winning power into there, as well as in this version of the deck, Guardian of the Guild Pact. Sometimes you won't see that, sometimes you will. And then finally, we have what I would call sort of Mardu Synth Affinity or Semi-Affinity, and while it's not playing Mirror Enforcer and Thoughtcast and other Affinity cards like that, it has some similarities to popular Affinity decks, which is, for one thing, the Krark Clan Shaman plus Toxin Analysis combo. This is a 2-card combo where you need a red mana and a black mana, and basically if you sacrifice just a single artifact, which Toxin Analysis actually creates for you, you can wipe the board of all ground creatures and get some healing. It's a really nice efficient board wipe that's made its way into a couple of different popular Pauper decks right now. The other thing that makes this pretty similar to Affinity, and why I'm calling it that, is it also runs Deadly Dispute 3 or 4 copies, and it plays all artifact lands. So if you run this deck, some people might think that you're actually playing Affinity, even though technically you're not. So our deck is a little bit different than all of these. Let's explain it now. So first of all, we have the artifacts. And as I sort of alluded to throughout the other decks already, when you play most of these artifacts, they get immediate value on ETB. Tithing Blade forces the opponent to sacrifice a creature. Lembas lets you scry and draw. Refurbished Familiar, which is a creature and an artifact, forces the opponent to discard a card, or it lets you draw one. We're happy with either side. And then Experimental Synthesizer lets you play a card off the top that turn when it either ETBs or when it is removed from the battlefield. And we have a couple ways to do that. The recursion package is the same as some of those other decks. We're playing 4 copies of Glinthawk and 4 copies of Core Skyfisher. Both of these are creatures that have ostensible downsides that force you to bounce a permanent or an artifact when they enter the battlefield, but we like that, and we're going to reuse those permanents or reuse those artifacts to get their strong ETBs over and over to sort of grind out card advantage. What else? In this deck, we're also playing 3 of each of the Inspectors. These generate clues, which you can crack to draw more cards, and these are also solid bounces with Core Skyfisher to replay an Inspector and get another clue and keep drawing deeper. This deck is playing the Cleansing Wildfire package to make sure that we can really sort of storm off on particular turns and, replay and bounce and replay and bounce and replay our Experimental Synthesizer, our Lembas, stuff like that over and over and over. When you Cleansing Wildfire one of your own indestructible lands, it doesn't die. You still get to pull a land out of the deck, and then you draw a card. So you get to replace, it's technically card advantage, because for this one card you get to put a land onto the battlefield and draw a fresh card. It really allows us to chain off. It's pretty crazy in the late game, and it's a lot of fun too. We're playing a 1 of Candy Trail just to sort of fix early awkward hands and get out of rough mulligans. And then we're playing some removal. In addition to the Tithing Blades, we're also on 2 copies of Cast Down, 1 copy of Thraben Charm, and 1 copy of Krark Clan Shaman, which I didn't previously have in the deck, but I'm trying it out to sort of help with the mono-red Kuldotha matchup. In the sideboard here, it's a lot of onesies and twosies, but that's how I like to build sideboards, just personally. Dawnbringer Cleric is a flexible card that can either heal you for 2, destroy an enchantment, or exile a card from a graveyard. I think this is pretty good as a bring-in against Rakdos Madness, to exile a Sneaky Snacker, get some healing in. There are a lot of decks on the fringes and some top meta decks that care about enchantments, such as Gruul Ramp, or I can use that to take out an Impact Tremors, or I can use the enchantment removal to take out like a Nyxborn Hydra. Dawnbringer Cleric is a pretty nice flexible modal spell. 2 Duress, which I really like against Affinity and against Broodskill to keep them off card advantage or their combo. 1 Omen of the Dead for the grindier control matchups to continually get back our core Skyfisher. The Skyfisher bounces this. When the Skyfisher dies, we play this, get back the Skyfisher. It's sort of a slow loop that generates more and more card advantage over time. 2 more cast downs against the big decks. I especially like this against Gruul Ramp, but I've started to actually bring it in against Terra decks as well, although it doesn't shine quite as much as it does against Gruul. 1 Tithing Blade, primarily again against the Terra matchups, but there are some others as well, good against Boggles, White Heroic, things like that. Another Krark Clan Shaman, primarily for the red matchups. Krark Clan Shaman as our sole artifact hate, because we're also playing Duresses and some graveyard hate, and the ping 1 to 2 creatures is pretty helpful against fairies. 2 Navigator's Compass to help against the red decks, and 2 Relic of Progenitus to help against any kind of graveyard deck such as Dredge, but the sort of exiling effect over time, 1 each turn, also really helps against Terra decks. So that's the build right there. Again, I like it a lot. I don't think that I would call this a tier 1 deck. It's a little bit slow, it's a little bit fair. Sometimes it can really chain off and seem to do some unfair things on turn 6 or 7, but it does require a little bit of setup. Still, I think this deck is fine into the current meta, and you can definitely get some wins with it. It's not a rogue choice by any means, so I hope you really enjoy the video. We're going to be bringing it into a league right now. But before we do that, if you're enjoying this content and you want to see more Pauper content just like this, remember to leave a like, a comment, and a subscription. It really helps me in the algorithm, and y'all have been a huge help already in helping the channel to grow, and I just love to see more of that. It would be really great. Okay, y'all, let's get right into the games. See you there. Okay, here we go. We are paired up. It looks like we won the dice roll, and we're going to be going first in this game. So how do we feel about this start? We are on a 1-lander. Anyway, we're on a 1-lander. I don't think we can keep this. We don't have anything to do with black or white mana, really, so I'm going to take this mulligan, although I hate throwing back a Cleansing Wildfire. This one is definitely better. This time I'm a tiny bit flooded, but I've got some candy trails to help me climb out of it. I can probably put back a red source if I had to guess, so let's go ahead and keep... throw back a mountain, and then am I going bridge on 1, or am I going plains or swamp on 1? So if I bridge, then next turn I'll have 2 mana, and I can Candy Trail and bounce it back to my hand with a Glint Hawk, which is okay. I think I want to play the Rustvale Bridge. That way if I draw a Cleansing Wildfire, I'm leaving myself open to the possibilities. The opponent started with 7, so we are a little bit behind here. And it looks like we're up against probably Mono Red or Rakdos Madness. Alright, with that Goldmire Bridge, does that change anything for me? So I can go Goldmire Bridge into Candy Trail, or I can go land, Candy Trail, bounce the Candy Trail with my Glint Hawk. I think I can take this turn a little bit slowly. and try to get a little bit of additional Glinthawk value. We have Experimental Synthesizer coming up next, or Rustvale Bridge. So I can put these back on top in the same order. Next turn goes Synth into Bridge, which would leave me with 1 mana remaining, and I could use that to Glinthawk or Refurbished Familiar. I think that's fine. I'll just put these back in the same order. I'll probably go Refurbished Familiar because I want to Glinthawk on the Synthesizer in the next turn. Okay, probably Mono Red. Kuldotha Rebirth, sure. Into Voldaren Epicure, I go down to 18 and then 17. So given that they have an army of 1/1s, that does give me some pause in playing the Refurbished Familiar. So maybe I'll go Glinthawk, even though I'm losing out on some Experimental Synthesizer value. We'll have to see about that one. Play the land, and yeah, I'll play Glinthawk, just so I don't lose my entire board. Now if they have a Goblin Bushwhacker, this is still trading, same as a Refurbished Familiar, but if they Goblin Bushwhacker, I have larger problems, like dying. Now I do have a decent amount of life gain. Okay, I've seen this build recently. They're playing the Autonomous Furnace. Okay, they Lightning Bolt my Glinthawk. 1 in a red, tap and sacrifice it to draw a card. Okay. Helps them avoid flooding in the late game. Okay, let's see. Are we going to see a Chain Lightning? No Chain Lightning, no Voldaren Epicure. I think they're probably going to Blood Token to discard a land, or maybe they have another Lightning Bolt. Cleansing Wildfire is pretty good, especially because that still allows me to Refurbish Familiar. So let's do that. And I'm going to tap here, because that still leaves me with all of my colors with this swamp in my hand. Yes, let's use the ability. And let's pick up more black mana, I guess. Another swamp. Let me find a Goldmire Bridge. I think I want to Candy Trail and Refurbished Familiar here. Let's see what they discard. Maybe a land, given that they probably were going to discard one anyway. Oh, a Lightning Bolt. Okay, I don't hate that. Here's the Candy Trail again. So we're not technically dead to a Bushwhacker. How do I feel about a Core Skyfisher on top? That's decent. And the Dross Forge on the bottom. Sure. So next turn we will have 6 mana available. 2 mana of that is Core Skyfisher. Bounce the Synth. And then we will likely still be able to... Okay, they're going to swing in like this and just Chain Lightning my face. I think I need to block. I do have an extra Cart Clan Shaman in the sideboard for situations like this. So we go down to 8 and then down to an effective 5. Okay. Another Galvanic Blast. Okay. Got it. Alright, start sideboarding. Not too much we could do there. Navigator's Compass is in here for matchups just like this one. Let's see how it works out. We also have Dawnbringer Cleric and Cart Clan Shaman. Gonna reduce the display size a bit here. There we go. Not sure why it's so large. Okay. Here's the KCS. Oh, getting a little bit of lag here. Do I bring in Cast into the Fire? It's decent. It might be a little much. Let's see what I should take out. And I don't know if I should bring in Duress in this matchup. I think Cast Down is a little much. Okay, Thraben Charm is not great. Yeah, I'm really getting lag here. I think my double clicking is not working. Ah, interesting. They might have changed the controls in the latest update, I'm not sure. We'll take out the Cast Downs. I'm going to restart after this. Tithing Blade. Take 1 out. What else? What else? How much do I really want Cast into the Fire? I think it's an overreaction, honestly. And then I will take out a Cleansing Wildfire because it's a little slow. Getting a lot of lag here. Okay, I've got to restart the client. Alright, I don't think I actually sideboarded, so let's try to just win game 2 with no sideboarding, and then go again. I think I can keep this. I've got a Wildfire hand. I'm just going to hope to overwhelm them with that advantage. Let's play a Dross Forge Bridge, and pass. Next turn I can Plains Wildfire, and then hopefully get some action with Limbus. This we can for 1, sure. Let's use the ability and find... We have plenty of red mana, I think. So let's find some additional white or black for now. Let's go with white. And pass. Next turn we have Thraben Inspector plus Core Skyfisher if we want it. We probably don't want to Lembas until we need to. Synthesizer. Okay, so they have a land in hand. There's a Galvanic Blast, so they're just going to... Do they have a Great Furnace? Or did they completely miss their land drop? Let's find out. And they missed their land drop. Okay, that's what I need. Now it's time for a Thraben Inspector plus a Core Skyfisher. Unfortunately, we're not maintaining amazing board presence by doing it this way. And there is a possibility that I should bounce a land, but I don't think that's right. And then let's play a Goldmire Bridge or a Rustvale Bridge. Let's get another black source. And pass. Kuldotha Rebirth on the Synth, sure. Reveal a Synth. They're attacking just to get a potential land drop. That's fine. I'll block it. Not a land. Okay. They're having trouble. But they can still play that next turn. Alright, what now? So I can Thraben Inspector and Lembas and Glinthawk. So let's Lembas first. We need to leave open 2 white. It's fine. You know, it helps us fight on the board. I can't use it this turn, but that's okay. Let's put down a Rustvale Bridge for another red source. Glinthawk, back the Lembas, and Thraben Inspector. So they have a Lightning Bolt for the Core Skyfisher, which would be fine. And then otherwise they're just hoping to pick up a land here. They do, okay. Lightning Bolt on the Skyfisher, fine. Folder and Epicure, okay. I can block 2 if they want to go for that. They don't, they're building up to a Bushwhacker, that's okay. Tithing Blade is fine. Let's Lembas first, and we can use our planes for that. Glinthawk is good. Now do I bounce the Lembas or the Tithing Blade? Probably the Tithing Blade. But do I hold up Galvanic Blast? I think so. So I think I just Tithing Blade, hold up the Galvanic Blast, they'll sacrifice the Epicure. Or do I develop the board here? Galvanic Blast is better against a Bushwhacker, which I think they kind of need to get back into the game. Because then I don't lose my Glinthawk. If they have the Bushwhacker, I just have to block with it. Chain Lightning me? Oh no, my Glinthawk, sure. Another Rebirth, okay. So they could be building up to the Bushwhacker. Okay, I'll block a Goblin and blast a Goblin. They're really considering this. Okay. So they do this to push in what they think is 2 damage. Instead it's just going to be 1. Bushwhacker is currently 10 damage on the ground. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, so I can Glinthawk, get back the Tithing Blade, replay the Tithing Blade. But I might as well do it with Core Skyfisher in that case. Or I could do both and not crack a Clue or a Lembas. Should probably do both. I think at this point, with all these clues, I don't really need additional value from bouncing the Lembas. It's Glinthawk. Return the Tithing Blade. Tithing Blade, here. Sacrifice the Voldaren Epicure. And I think I'm going to Core Skyfisher on the Tithing Blade. Alright, I'll pass. So now they have a pretty mid-Bushwhacker. So to get back into the game, they're going to need to go with the burn game plan, I think. Or continue to pick off my creatures, but I should be able to reclaim some value with these clues. And then that's burn, that's not going face. You've seen double Kuldotha Rebirth, so they're unlikely to Chain Lightning a creature, sure. Reckless Lackey, okay. So they attack in, I double block. They don't attack in. Okay, so they're building up to a Bushwhacker again. I think. We have the Tithing Blade and a Cast Down. Let's crack a Clue, I think. Synthesizer is fine, but I think I would rather do it next turn. I don't really want to get locked into doing a Synthesizer play. Okay, sacrifice your Epicure. And then I'm holding the Cast Down. Pass. If we don't need to Cast Down, we can crack a Clue or a Lembas. Epicure, sure. Do you have another land plus a Bushwhacker? Blast my bird, okay. Alright, let's crack a Clue. A land, fine. An Inspector. Okay, now let's go with Synthesizer. Refurbished Familiar is pretty good. Let's do it. Discard what? Cast into the Fire, okay. Inspector. So that gives me 4 mana with which to crack a Clue, cast a Cast Down, crack a Lembas, so I will pass. Cast Down is probably pointing at the Reckless Lackey unless they have a way to... unless they just play a land and then swing. Because then they'll just crack it for value. Bushwhacker? Sure. Okay, Cast Down here. And block everything else except the Epicure. And draw a card. I could also crack the Lembas, but I think I can just draw here. I have enough mana that I want to find the tools to chain off a little bit. And I found it. There's the Experimental Synthesizer, good. Core Skyfisher. Fine. I think I'll bounce the Synth at this point. Lembas, okay. Do I save this? I'll draw it for sure. I think I'm just going to refurb here. Discard your last card, and prepare to crack a Lembas during your turn. Discarded Chain Lightning, fine. I've got a blocker for the Epicure. You can loot away with a blood token, but I think I've got the game pretty locked up here. I've got plenty of healing. Discard a mountain, fine. Find another land. Alright, let's try to close the game rather decisively so we don't time out here. I think we wasted a little bit of time when we were reloading the client. We've got to successfully sideboard this time. So let's hope we can do that. Alright, Wildfire, sounds good. Let's get the lands out of our deck so we can more efficiently Experimental Synthesizer. Let's find... I don't think we really need anything in particular. I guess red mana should be fine. There's a Glint Hawk, sounds good. Yes. Let's bounce the Synth. I don't think we need to flip a Tithing Blade quite yet. Let's do this. Candy Trail is fine. More healing and draw power. We don't really need these. And let's attack. They take 4. Pass. Probably next turn we'll flip the Tithing Blade. Okay, let's crack the Candy Trail. Find a land, that's fine. We have 10 damage right now, so let's not go for lethal quite yet. Let's just flip the Tithing Blade with the... It's highlighting everything, that's very weird. Novice Inspector. And we can play a land and attack with the Refurbished Familiar and Glint Hawk. Then next turn we are getting them down to 6, so Galvanic Blast won't be able to close it. Actually down to 5 with the Consuming Sepulcher, but I think we've got this one. Synthesizer. Lightning Bolt on my Skyfisher, sure. You can hit me for 1, that's fine. Let's crack both of these. They're playing the control game, not really where they want to be. So in terms of sideboard, I saw that they brought in a Cast into the Fire, but so far I haven't seen anything else. Let's go ahead with a Wildfire. Yes, let's get a Swamp. Refurbished Familiar is good. Experimental Synthesizer. Hit with red. Flipping a Lembas. Lembas is fine. Glint Hawk is good. We can Glint Hawk to bounce the Synth or bounce the Lembas. Let's just bounce the Lembas, I guess, and replay it and crack it. Let's discard their 1 card. Changing plans here. They lose a mountain, that's fine. I'll take another Lembas, that's fine. I'll attack. So next turn we have lethal depending on how many of my things I keep. And we have, as long as we keep 1 thing, we'll have lethal. Because of the Galvanic Blast plus the Sepulcher. Alright, let's attack. Alright, nice. We managed to steal game 2 despite the fact that we weren't able to sideboard. So let's try to do even better this time. So, I mean, it was largely due to them not getting a land. Oh, this lag is terrible. Do y'all see that? Dawnbringer Cleric. Navigator's Compass. I wonder if it's my machine. It's kind of during the sideboarding in specific. So I wanted these. Did I want another Tithing Blade? I don't think I need it. So let's take out the Parkland Shaman is very good, obviously. Let's take out one Cleansing Wildfire. Okay, it's sometimes working when I double click. Let's take out a Thraben Charm, a Cast Down, another Cast Down because I can just use Galvanic Blast to do the same thing, and an Inspector. Probably another Cleansing Wildfire. There we go. And submit. No more lag, please. I mean, last game not only did they miss their land drop, but we also went first and had a Wildfire setup, so We cannot expect to go quite as fast this time around. They are starting with 7. We'll keep as well because we have the Candy Trail into second land drop, even though we've only got white cards here. We can ideally pick up something to do with our black or red mana, or pick up a white source. Sort of slow, though. Okay, at least it's not a Tomb Raider. Go down to 19. Lembas is fine. So we'll have things to do on turns 2 and 3. I just am hoping to pick up something more proactive to do. Synth into land, into Percussionist. Okay, go down to 17. Now they are very Metalcraft, so Galvanic Blasts are dealing 4 damage each. Fine. Glint Hawk is not going to do it right now. Let's try to find a white source. We don't get there. Do I take the mountain as acceptable? With it, I could Lembas scry into something else playable. I think I prefer it over a blind draw. Do I take Tithing Blade, though? Tithing Blade is not amazing here. I will accept the mountain. So next turn, I'm going to be going mountain, Lembas to scry for something playable. Kuldotha Rebirth, sure. They get a mountain. And do they have the Bushwhacker? They do. Okay. Looks like we need specifically Krark-Clan Shaman, and that's probably not enough. This is a nice start for the opponent. Plus, they're going to get 2 draws off the Clockwork Percussionist. I don't think we can win here. They would need some really bad draws. We knew we were getting the mountain. I think... So if I'm playing specifically for Krark-Clan Shaman, then I can just Lembas right now. That's not going to do. And we get the mountain and must concede. Alright, GG's opponent. We won the game where we didn't sideboard. We lost the game where we did, so I can't really blame the client too much in this case. Let's move on to the second round and see if we can make this a 1-1. See you there. Alright, we are in our second round here. It looks like we lost the die roll this time. We have a 1-lander into a Candy Trail. A little bit risky, but Candy Trail is... I mean, this is why I put Candy Trail on the deck. I am going to try to keep this, and then I'll regret it if it doesn't work out. But that's fine. We have a couple looks for our next land. Elvish Mystic, sure. So we're probably against Elves, if I had to venture a guess. Galvanic Blast is interesting. It's actually possible that I should just blast this right now, but I think it's better to focus on a more specific target, a higher risk one, and just set up my next couple of draws first. We have 2 bridges. I think those are both good. Let's put those on the top. We'll still have the Galvanic Blast available. Only pinging for 2 next turn, but that's okay. And what we could actually do is even Experimental Synthesizer into a bridge. That's possible as well, just to get that out into the board if we think that we won't need to Galvanic Blast right away. They find a Well-Wisher, a Llanowar Elves, and a Nyxborn Hydra. Okay, fine. Alright, so I think just to be efficient here, hoping that I don't actually need to hold up this Galvanic Blast, I'm just going to Synth into the second Goldmire Bridge. And pass. So next turn I have Cast Down if I need it, or I could Novice Inspector plus Galvanic Blast, or I could Refurbished Familiar plus Galvanic Blast. I have a lot of potential plays. We see a Masked Vandal, which is not good, so they're picking apart my land. I think they played this forest, but they haven't played the others yet. Alright, they do take my land indeed. Pretty good, pretty good. Definitely going to slow me down. There's a Llanowar Elves. Now this is still Metalcraft, which is nice, so that part is good. I can't quite Cleansing Wildfire here, so let's just play the Goldmire Bridge and pass, planning to Galvanic Blast something. I don't think I want to Galvanic Blast just a normal mana dork. I could Galvanic Blast the target of whatever they're trying to put Nyxborn Hydra on, although that would still keep it around as a creature. But it would mean that I could deal with it once here with the Galvanic Blast, and then again with the Cast Down. So there goes the Nyxborn Hydra. It's a 4/5. Not super threatening. I can afford to take a turn off from killing that, potentially. Probably just Cleansing Wildfire here, and hope to hit another natural land drop. What do I need at the moment? Probably another white source or another black source. I'm going to take a black source. And we have Thraben Charm for the Nyxborn Hydra if we want it. So let's pass. So we could Refurbish Familiar plus Thraben Charm. Oh, Masked Vandal on my other land? Oh no. This is getting bad. So I could still cast this down, though. Priest of Titania, and they have a Well-Wisher and one unknown. There's the Well-Wisher. Refurbished Familiar right now costs 2 mana, so that part's not great. So does that mean that I should Lembas? What can I do with red and black mana? Just cast down or Refurbished Familiar or Lembas. Right now they have 6, 7, 8, 9 mana available, and we don't know what's in their hand. I think what I'm going to do is Refurbished Familiar here, and that's because if they're saving this last card, if that's a refill, then let's take it away from them. It was a Nyxborn Hydra, so I'm glad to be done with that. Now hopefully they kind of swing all, and I can block. Well, actually, I don't know which I would prefer. Oh, they top deck the Winding Way, of course. They find 3 Elvish Mystic, sure, and Masked Vandal. Or another Nyxborn Hydra. Oh, another Nyxborn Hydra, and that is going to be the game, I think. Let's just see here. So that is 11 damage. Alright. That happens. I don't think there's anything I can do here. Let's see. I mean, I have removal, I just don't have enough. Wait, did they play the Masked Vandal? They didn't play the Masked Vandal, so they still have that. My mistake. So Masked Vandal in hand. Alright, so 3 mana now. I can... What I can do is I can cast this down, we'll pull it out of combat. And hopefully that's enough. It's gonna sort of require them to not full swing in, stuff like that. Let's pass. Because this is dealing... This is 4 damage trample. Right now it can get in for 3 when it swings in. There's the Masked Vandal. Oh, taking that away. Yep, that's gonna do it. Let's concede. So in this matchup, they are on the Nyxborn Hydra version. So Dawnbringer Clerics are pretty good. Obviously we want the Correct Clan Shaman. And then let's see, do we want Tithing Blade, Cast Downs, Duresses? I think 3 Tithing Blade is about appropriate, because it's not amazing into the matchup. I mean, we'll kind of take any removal we can get, but at the same time, they tend to be able to load up the board with a lot of stuff that they are pretty happy to sacrifice. Cast into the Fire is good. So what don't we want? I think that Wildfire is too slow. What else? I think that Lembas is a little slow. And do we just cut on some number of Inspectors? Maybe cut 1 Inspector. Do we cut a Synthesizer? Well, I think the logic here is that we are not going to be at a high mana total unless we're already winning. And that's where Experimental Synthesizer most succeeds. So maybe we can go down to 3 since we're completely cutting the Wildfire package. Now this also does reduce our artifact count for the Correct Clan Shaman, but I think we have to hope we have enough between the lands, Candy Trail, and the Lembas and Tithing Blades that we still have left over, along with the Refurbished Familiars and Clues. We still have plenty of artifacts. Yes, I'll play first. We have the KCS, but nothing else. Does that make it a keep? I think I'm going to keep because I also have a Galvanic Blast. They also kept 7. That's not amazing. Fintorn Elves? Sure. Alright, so, do I Synth here? Do I Galvanic Blast? I think I can wait 1 turn to hold off on the Galvanic Blast. This will also help my Correct Clan Shaman. That's awesome. So now let's just go ahead and Galvanic Blast this right away. Okay. So they are on 2 mana, probably, with which they could play a Priest of Titania. They have a Quirion Ranger, so they could Quirion Ranger plus another Elf. Okay, fine. I could KCS that. Let's think about this. Or I could Glint Hawk. If the card that I flip is not playable, then I can KCS and sacrifice a land. That doesn't feel amazing. I think in this situation I want to play an Inspector and a Correct Clan Shaman. I mean, Correct Clan Shaman is kind of showing my hand, though. Alright, so I could... Here are my plays. I could Inspector plus Correct. That's play number 1. Play number 2 is I can Glint Hawk to bounce my Synth, looking specifically for a land, a Galvanic Blast, another Correct Clan Shaman. That's mostly it. So that's not very likely to work. I think I'm going to Novice Inspector plus Correct Clan Shaman. And the question is, do I use it right now? They might be on only one land. And we have more removal that we can start to get to with the Tithing Blades. This might be controversial, but I kind of want to do this right now because if I let them untap, then all of a sudden they have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana available instead of potentially 1. So let's just do this at the moment. Crack our clue. And they pass. Amazing. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So now what do? I could core Skyfisher looking for a land specifically. I could Glint Hawk, which would allow me to find a Krark Clan Shaman. Or a Galvanic Blast, but Galvanic Blast would not be very good right now. Or I could just play a Thraben Inspector and then take it slow and try to crack a clue next turn. I think I'm going to Glint Hawk to establish a bit of a board myself. Oh, I meant to core Skyfisher. That was actually a mistake. I was just talking about it. I meant to core Skyfisher. That's fine. We would have missed anyway, but we would have just had a 2/3 on the board. Oh, this allows me to Experimental Synthesizer again and try to find a land. We don't get there. Okay, let's attack. Because of that possibility, I think Glint Hawk was probably fine. Opponent will pass. Okay. So here I'm much more comfortable Lembasing instead of bouncing the Synthesizer. Let's try that. Let's get some black mana so these Tithing Blades start to do something. No, I don't think so. We got one anyway? Okay. It's very opinionated. So next turn we do have the core Skyfisher to bounce the Lembas, if we need to. They find a Quirion Ranger, and a Llanowar Elves. No, they just play it and prepare to cycle. Okay. We have a Cast Down, which we can't play. So let's attack, and then core Skyfisher. So next turn they will have 2 mana available to them. Or, yeah, still 2, even if they have an Ent. There's a possibility that I should bounce the Synthesizer here just to try to pick up a land right now, but I don't think so. I think I can do more with this later. Okay, do they have a Priest of Titania? Masked Vandal? Okay, so they can take away my land. Makes sense. So now I have nothing I can do. So I need to just pick up a land. I found one. Okay, not my favorite land, but I did find one. We can attack with the Flyers and not attack with the Novice Inspector. Swamp is fine. Not an artifact like I would hope, but it's okay. It does mean that I can use the black mana immediately next turn. Bring them to 9. Man, if they find a Well-Wisher and they just sort of outgrind me, that would be really frustrating. Okay, they're just passing. Or they're just conceding. Fine. How do we feel about the game plan? I think I like it. I mean, hitting land drops is a little bit harder without the Cleansing Wildfires. And one less Lembas. Is there anything in the deck that does not serve a purpose right now? No, I think I'm pretty good with all of this. Let's resubmit. Again, we are on a 1-lander. How do we feel about this 1-lander? We have a bridge into an Inspector. We have 2 looks for another land, and we still have the Krark Clan Shaman if we can pick up a red source. I think I'm going to keep it. If we ever find a red source, this is going to be really important. Mulligan to 5, okay. Alright, so a 5-card Elves hand. They would probably hope to have a Quirion Ranger, based on my Walls experience. Okay, Drossforge Bridge is good. So I can Drossforge Bridge, which will allow me to Galvanic Blast next turn, which is probably better than being able to Novice Inspector next turn. So let's Bridge. And they can't Masked Vandal this yet, even if they have 2 mana. There's the Quirion Ranger. Okay, so it's like a pretty ideal 5-card hand. So they can pay 3 mana for like a Timberwatch Elf to Glamour. They can do that. Okay, that's really bad. Oh my gosh. Here we go again. Hopefully they just have like interaction with my stuff and they don't actually, they're not able to do anything themselves. Goldmire Bridge pass. The problem with tap lands, 2 mana. Now they have 4 available. There's the Timberwatch, okay. Now I can't take this off the table. If I find an untapped land, I can cast it down. If I find a mountain, even better, I can Galvanic Blast and play a Novice, but instead we just draw Refurbished Familiar. Not where we want to be. I think this is a deck where you do end up needing to mulligan quite a bit, and I think I might be a little bit too resistant to mulliganing. That's highly possible. Do they have a Hydra? A second Timberwatch. Okay. So they can reuse this first one and get in for 10 with it. They're just gonna buff... Okay, which do we block? Which do we want to kill? Probably Quirion Ranger. So they probably buff this out of range. Yep, and then are they going to do another buff on this one? They're not. They care about their mana. Okay. Give me a mountain. That would blow up most of their board because of the Krark Clan Shaman. We found the mountain. Okay. We got what we were asking for. Now what can we do with it? So they can save one thing, but not more than that right now. And it will require them to put a forest back into their hand. So I think this is worth it. And then we'll still have the Galvanic Blast later. Is there any way to generate another artifact and still go off with Krark Clan Shaman? There would be if we had the mana to Refurbished Familiar. But we don't. We can't Refurbished Familiar and Krark Clan. Okay, let's do this. They can save probably a Timberwatch or a Quirion. Sure. What are they going to buff? Doesn't matter. We still have to crack for 2. Nothing we can do with this mana, right? Probably save a Timberwatch. The next turn we can blast it, and we just have to hope that we draw a bunch of lands after that. They pass. Okay. Ah, they can keep it out of Galvanic Blast range. Very smart. Okay. We do hit a land, though. That's awesome. So now I can Galvanic Blast it in response to its ability, if that comes up. They have another forest. Sure. Priest of Titania. Okay. Alright. So I can just cast this down right now and get it out of my hair. Or I could Candy Trail, but Galvanic Blast still wouldn't be enough. And I can't Candy Trail plus Refurb. I think I'm just going to cast this down. I need to heavily reduce their clock. And if I wait and I do this at instant speed, it's going to get some value. So they have 4 mana. Is it going to be a Nyxborn Hydra? A 2/3? It is, okay. It's a 3/4. Okay, I miscounted. Alright, that's... Is that fine? I mean, it will be eventually. So... Do I Lembas or Candy Trail? I think I want to take this off the table at this point. Let's see if we can do that. Let's Candy Trail. We are hitting another land. Okay. So we don't really need Glint Hawk right now. So we'll put that on the bottom and Plains on the top. And just Galvanic Blast this. And this is going to be getting in for some damage, but we have to hope that's okay while we sort of build back up here. Quirion Ranger, okay. They swing for 3, fine. So this turn I can Lembas plus Refurbished Familiar, but then they can discard a forest. I think maybe I'm fine with that. So we'll play our land. Am I sure that I want to Lembas plus Refurbished Familiar? I think so. Synthesizer is a little ambitious right now. Put on the bottom. Galvanic Blast is pretty good. Do you discard your forest? You do? Okay. So that's going to get in for 3 again, but I do have the Galvanic Blast for it. And they can't break my Metalcraft with a Masked Vandal. Oh, do I block the Quirion Ranger? I think I can do that. I can just... Masked Vandal is annoying, but taking Quirion Ranger off the table is pretty nice. And they could Masked Vandal anyway. But now they can lower me below Metalcraft. Okay? Alright, so... just Galvanic Blast this. Play a land. Play a Core Skyfisher. Sure. Could they have anything here? They have Vines of Vastwood. They're kicking it. Okay. Fine. Not, you know, not a disaster. It's okay. I'll return the Lembas. That's a Vines of Vastwood that they're not sending at my face. And I can afford to not block here, even if they have another Vines. And they scoop! Alright, we win the match. We beat Elves in Game 2. The Krark Clan Shamans really come in handy there. We're able to play through some really rough land situations and ultimately close it out. We're 1-1. I will see you in round 3. Alright, here we are in round 3. The opponent chooses to play first and starts with 7. I think this is keepable given that I have the Candy Trail. We're not doing a heck of a lot. But let's see what the opponent does and what we draw. Colony Garden. Okay, so we are probably against Brood Scale or Golgari Gardens. I think a Plains into an Inspector is fine because next turn I can just play a Bridge and Candy Trail. So this looks a lot like White Weenie to them right now. Another Forest. Sure, there's a Brood Scale. Okay. This is Spooky. They need black mana. Alright. Just gonna be a candy trail, I guess. So we could set up our synthesizer. Play. I don't think I need another synthesizer, and I don't need a Thraben Inspector. What I need is removal. So let's play our land to round out our other colors and pass. Basking Broodskill is a pretty safe play into White Weenie, because they need Thraben Charm. And there's the natural Sadistic Glee. Let's see if they can go infinite. They're gonna attack. I have to block, right? Or else I just lose. Because they can adapt at instant speed, right? Yeah. So they have infinite mana. Let's yield. Pretty lucky opening hand from the opponent. Can't lie on that. They had to have a green source, a black source, a Broodskill, and a Glee. And a third land. So 5 out of their opening, like, 8 or 9 cards. Pretty good. Can we find a cast down? We can't find a cast down. Can we find a blocker? What's the highest likelihood to hit a blocker? Probably with Experimental Synthesis. Oh, we do have a blocker with a Core Skyfisher. Okay. There's a bridge. We cannot play that, actually. So we'll leave that behind and play a swamp or a mountain. Which one? Let's play a swamp and bounce the candy trail. But this is like, I wouldn't say it's a 99% loss, it's probably a 95% loss, because if we can find a cast down, they might not have protection, but that probably is a 99% because we have 2 cast downs and 49 cards, so that's like a 4% chance. So they can take the candy trail, and then can they remove this? Or can they put, okay, they have the second Glee, that is lethal. Concede. Alright, against Broodskill, we have a decent amount of stuff in the sideboard. We do have Dawnbringer Cleric for enchantment removal, but I think that's not where we really want to be. It looks like it's just Golgari, and it's not Jund, so they might not be on the Wildfire package, so I don't know about bringing in the Artifact Hate right now. Navigator's Compass is not going to do it. Relic is pretty mid. Krark Clan is okay. I mean, the cast downs and the duresses are the first wave of answers here. So what are we going to be taking out? I still don't hate wildfires in this matchup. I mean, if they don't combo off really quickly, then I want to be able to take a lot of actions. So I think I'm not going to completely cut the wildfire package. Maybe I'll just cut 2 of them. And then, what else? What else? Maybe Krark Clan is not really where I want to be. It's a pretty inefficient removal compared to Galvanic Blast and stuff like that. It can't be duressed, but they can still keep their thing alive with a Tamiyo safekeeping unless I have a lot more artifacts to sack. So I think I'm going to take out the KCS. Let me know what you think of that. And then, what else do I take out? Tithing Blade is okay. It is a little mid because it's sorcery speed removal, and they're going to be getting plant tokens and spawns, so I guess I'll take out a Tithing Blade. Okay, let's try that. I'll go first. We know we're against Broodskill. Alright, so I have a Wildfire, but unfortunately no second land. I don't think I can keep that here, even though I have a Galvanic Blast. That looks better. The opponent starts with 7. Let's keep this. And we can throw back like 1 Inspector. Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll keep the Novice for no particular reason. And we'll start with Goldmire or Rustvale. I think we're more likely to want to spend red mana early. And we're playing a lot more black cards, so either one of these lands should be fine. There's the Cleansing Wildfire, that'll be good. I don't think it really matters what we put down here. Do we want a second red source or a second white source? Maybe a second white source. Play an Inspector and pass. I think they'll probably fetch a forest on average, because I think these decks play more black sources, but I might be wrong on that. There's a forest, okay. It does just look like Golgari. There's a Glamour. That's annoying, but not the end of the world. As long as they don't do it again. Okay, in that situation, Drossforge Bridge would have been better. I think I just get my other bridge down. Let's attack. I could play a Core Skyfisher, I suppose, but I just want to be able to speed out this Wildfire, if I can. And now let's see which land they take me off of. If they have another Deglammer, they probably take me off of the... untapped land. Snarling Gorehound. Okay. So they're using this to mill their deck and then kill me with whatever they mill. I can't remember what it is right now. So they leave that on top. It's probably fine to Cleansing Wildfire here. Let's leave open the Goldmire Bridge in case of a Refurbished Familiar. And what else do we want? Probably another red source. Let's take another mountain. Let's take a mountain, I should say. There's a swamp, that's fine, and we do have an attack here. Not that it matters too much. So next turn, I can core Skyfisher and then start to hold open this Thraben Charm, which maybe I should just be aggressive with in removing the Gorehound, but I think probably not. Second Gorehound, okay. They choose to leave it on top, sure. They have 2 green. They could play a Brood Scale if they want to. 3 green. There's a Brood Scale, yep. So they need Tamios here. Okay, we don't have a lot of options. I think I would like to... Is there any way they can buff this? They can buff the stats of this without giving it indestructible or untargetable. I don't think so. I think just using the Thraben Charm first is safe. I could also Thraben Charm their graveyard, I suppose. Okay, they have the Tamios, sure. Now I can Skyfisher, replay the thing. And then if they can combo me, they can combo me. They just need the statistically. So this is definitely a situation where I think if we were playing like Mardu Synth and we were just playing sort of more copies of bolts and blasts and stuff like that, it would be ideal. What do they take? Troublemaker Oof is a little bit annoying, for sure. They can just bargain away the plant token, surveil a bit, take away my land. They do take the Oof, okay. They'll mill the Tamio Safekeeping, okay. And mill a Gorehound, fine. Do you have the Sadistically? You have a spawn now. So you could Sadistically make infinite mana and also Troublemaker Oof to take away my land. They have a Shambling Ghast, fine. So I think if we make it to game 3, I might put the Krark Clan Shamans in because they'll help with the Gorehounds. Troublemaker Oof, take me off of probably red mana? Yep, makes sense. So we can crack a clue with our planes. They mill 2 lands and bounce a land back, sure. They're very low on value at the moment, which is good. They pass. And they don't have protection. So let's crack a clue with white. Cast down. Good. Okay, I can do that. Do I wait? So they only have 1 card in hand. We've already seen 1, 2, just 2 Tamios. 2 Tamios. What are the odds that they would have specifically Sadistically and Tamios Safekeeping? Pretty low, right? So I think I'm not going to cast down at sorcery speed here. I just want to make them waste the Glee. We'll pass. And then we can clue if they don't do it. Oh, and one of those cards is a land. We saw them bounce a land. Okay. So they can't have Glee and protection here. What are they going to mill? A Shambling Ghast and... nothing. Okay. They keep that on top. They like that card. Malevolent Rumble. Okay. So this says... target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target player. What are they taking? They choose the Glee. Okay, fine. It's fine for them to choose the Glee. They mill a Rumble and... oh no, they kept it on top. Alright, cast down. So that is Brood Scale number 3 right there. They can adapt, that's fine. Not too worried. Glee is gone. They could still Glee up like a Gorehound and Gravitic Punch me. They would need to use the... how does this work? They would need to get a treasure from the Shambling Ghast to use that, but that's not going to be a huge problem. We have a Galvanic Blast if they try to use a Glee again, so let's just crack a clue. And we have a cast down, pretty good. Let's crack another. Here and here. And we can attack a little bit, I think. No, let's just hold off. It's fine. They can't very efficiently get through here. They'll have to lose some creatures. Unfortunately, we're short on value now, but I don't think they can overwhelm me very easily with creature beats. What do they have? Another Troublemaker Roof? Herboard Repossession. Okay. That's fine. You can have the Brood Scale. And then you can try to Glee it. And then I can Galvanic Blast. Targeting. So they can adapt it once, but that's all. So Galvanic Blast will work. Oh, but I don't have enough artifacts. Okay, we have to cast down. They can adapt for a plant, I guess? Ah, just to get some more Surveil triggers with the Gorehounds. Makes sense. Alright. Let's start chaining off a little bit. We don't do it. Fine. Next turn we'll have artifact number 3. Another Urborg repossession would be a problem. Village Rites, okay. Colony Garden, okay. Milling a Colony Garden and a Vault of Whispers, sure. We have a Bridge and a Thraben Inspector. Not bad, not bad. Let's start with the Thraben Inspector because we still have an artifact here. Okay, now we'll Dross Forge instead and pass the turn. The Gravitic Punch won't be able to do much if I can stop them from gleeing up a thing. They want a treasure? Sure. Doing it like this so they can't kill one of my creatures with -1/-1. I know this is for the Gravitic Punch, it's okay. Or is it for something else? Twisted Landscape? That's okay. Another Urborg, Village Rites, fine. They're getting that card advantage. I think we left some synthesizers in our deck, right? There's one. Answering my own question. Okay, we don't have a lot of red sources, so let's not hit synth, synth, synth. That's fine. Do I crack the synth? I don't think so. So now I think I can attack with a Core Skyfisher, just so I don't start to lose on time. I lose a Swamp, that's fine. 2 cards in hand. 2 mana, another Brood-Scale. Deadly Dispute, fine. These are on the oof, that's okay. So their ability to burn me down now is a bit reduced. Jack-o'-lantern. What does this do? So sacrifice it to exile a card and draw a card? Okay. And then later you can use it to get mana, that's fine. Fine. Do you have another Glee? Duress? Let's Galvanic Blast now. Alright. Do you have protection with the treasure token? If you do, then you can't also cast the Sadistic Glee. Alright, take that. Duress does nothing. How many Brood Scales is that? That's 1. That's all the Brood Scales, right? 2, 3, 4 Brood Scales. How many Glees? I can pop this out, right? That's fine. Okay, my turn. Alright, Tithing Blade is okay. Let's crack a Synth. Probably should have used 2 white there. Play a Mountain. And let's flip the Tithing Blade. Oh, oops, that was a mistake. I should have attacked first. I thought I had a creature in the graveyard. Let's attack. They can get in for a little bit with a Gorehound, that's okay. So I believe they have a Glee in hand. Yep, there's one. Okay, let's try a double block. How big can it get? You just try to block with everything. Snuff out. Sure. So now it's a 2/2. And snuff out. Okay. So they have a 3/3. Got it. 4/4. That's fine. I should yield to that trigger. Bridge. Let's attack. I don't want to double block that anymore. It's just going to grow it. And we have them on a clock with the Consuming Sepulchre plus these. Deadly Dispute on their other Gorehound. No on a treasure. Okay. Another Glee. Village Rites. Glee number 2. Okay. So they're using that to sack their other Gorehound to make that a 6/6. Yep. So we've got to start blocking this thing. And how does this work again? Is it sorcery speed or instant speed? Sorcery speed. But they have to discard to do it. Swinging for 6. Okay. So next turn, currently, they have 12 damage. Deglamour on my... Okay, Sepulchre makes sense. Inspector is fine. It means that I can attack with my Refurbished Familiar. Crack a Clue, get a Bridge, not doing too much. Let's attack. Man, if they win here, that's going to be a heartbreaker. But they definitely could. So if I had attacked with the Inspector as well, I would not have lethal here. Alright. So do we block? I think we do. Otherwise, if they can just kill one thing, then I lose. So I have to get, like... I think if I get a land here, I lose the game. Which is really funny. So that's a 10/10 now, right? Now, Cast Down would be good. Galvanic Blast would be good. Tithing Blade would be good. Another creature would be fine. Synthesizer would be fine. Let's just not hit a land, mostly. Tithing Blade. Okay, that's good. Nice. Does it work? There we go. Nice. Let's flip it. Alright, good top deck. It doesn't really matter. Sure. Let's attack. And now we just have to win in 9 minutes in the last game. Should be doable if we play expeditiously. Do I want Graveyard Hate, by the way? Even though they're playing Urborg Repossession, I don't think so. Let's attack. Lembas. I'm not going to go through the trouble of sacrificing it while it's on the stack. Excuse me, while it's on the stack. Takes too much time. Take that. Oh, that was a mistake. Cancel. Yes, use the ability. Swamp is fine. Get an Inspector. We'll not worry about the clue. And then we just will win with the Consuming Sepulcher. Alright. 8.5 minutes, basically. Begin sideboarding. What do I think? I think the Karat Clan Shamans might actually be good enough because they're playing the Gorehounds. So we'll bring those in, although I'm not convinced on the Relic. And I still like the cast down. Maybe I'll just completely take out Wildfires. I just need early game action. That's fine. But if I can stop them from doing things, Synth will still be good. Submit. Alright, game 3. We are going second. We have a Duress, which is fine. I think this is keepable. I haven't looked at the hand too much yet, but we've got Lembas into Skyfisher, and we can just play the bridge on 3. Yep. Alright, let's Duress, see what we're working with. We could take their Duress, potentially. Alright, what do we have here? So next turn, they can Rumble. Yeah, let's stop that from happening. And they still have these 5. And then I'll pass. Okay, so next turn I Plains Lembas. Turn 3 so we knew about the landscape. Sacking it for a swamp and passing. They attack for 0. Sure. There's the landscape. Alright. Now do I Inspector? No, I don't think so. I'll just Plains Lembas. And then give me all the removal you've got. Another Inspector is fine, but I don't think so. Skyfisher is fine. So here they probably want a Village Rites. Snarling Gorehound. Okay, there's that. And then they can't... Okay, there we go. I was going to say they can't do anything with their green mana. Do they have another Rumble? Troublemaker Oof. On my Lembas, fine. What did they bargain, by the way? A plant? Or are they just casting it? I guess they bargained a plant. Okay, putting a forest in the grave, sure. I didn't really need the Lembas, it's okay. Here, what do I want to do? So I could just Galvanic Blast the Gorehound and play an Inspector. I think that's fine. Oh, I don't have red mana right now. Never mind. So let's deal with that, right? Or do I just put down an Inspector and a Skyfisher? I'll just play an Inspector. Get this land down. And pass. Got 2 points of removal right now. I can swing in for 3, that's fine. Another Troublemaker Oof. A Deadly Dispute, okay. You still have Duress Village Rites statistically. There's the Duress. And they can take the Galvanic Blast or the Cast Down. So now I think we need to save what's left for the Brood skill. Probably take the Cast Down, right? Take the Galvanic Blast, fine. Cracking for... Okay, they use the Duress. Let's crack a clue. Refurb is gonna be good, eventually. For now, let's just Skyfisher back the Inspector. They could always Village Rites this Gorehound if they have to, but I wouldn't mind that too much. Another Duress, okay, there goes the other removal spell. So they want to put down the Brood skill right now if they can, to get out of their hand, right? I mean, I showed them that I'm playing Duress. Because they have Village Rites statistically. They swing. It's fine. Let's play Refurbished Familiar. What do they lose? They lose a Glee. Okay. They probably have another. And I'm going to Skyfisher. Pick this back up. Keep stripping their hand. Pass. So if they have exactly Brood Skill Glee, that's still not enough. They would still need a land as well. And I can make them discard again and then draw a card from my clue. They pass, okay. Synth is good, but let's refurbished. No, we can synth. We can synth, I think. Most of the cards here are playable. Yeah, we can play that. Refurbished, and then let's start attacking. What do they lose? Lose a snuff out, that's fine. Let's attack. They have village rights and an unknown. So can they find Brood Scale, Glee, land off the top? And if they have to village rights, that won't work. Okay, because they won't have enough mana. They village rights their dog. So now they just have 4 unknowns in there. Drown in Sorrow, that's pretty good. Okay. And they get to scry, makes sense. At least I can still get in for 4 damage. And Golgari Rot Farm to pick up the Colony Garden, probably. Yep, makes sense. Let's crack a clue. There's a Refurbished Familiar, looks pretty good. Let's... I don't think I crack the Synth. Let's attack. And then let's crack a clue. Glinthawk is good. They discard a Colony Garden, sure. And if they have another Drown in Sorrow, it's okay. Bounce the refurb. Replay it. Discard. Snuff out, fine. Okay, they still don't have their combo pieces, or they just have one of them. So they don't have enough lands for Brood Scale plus Glee to be enough. So here I will all-out attack, and then crack the Synth, question mark? No, I don't think I need to. I think I want to save that to potentially find an answer next turn if that might come up. Let's go! Let's go! I can't even talk. We beat Brood Scale, I love it. Alright, 2-1, 2-1, feels good. The fair decks are beating the unfair combo decks. We love to see it. Let's try to make it a 3-1, eventually a 4-1 in the next couple. I'll see y'all in the games. Alright, we are paired up for round 4. Looks like we won the die roll this time, so let's go first. And we open up with what I think is probably an unkeepable hand. We have a Plains into an Inspector into Prey, so I think we've got a mulligan. This is also not looking great. But given that I have Candy Trail, even though it's slow, I think I'm going to keep this one. I can kind of get out of the hole as soon as I can Cleansing Wildfire my land, so I'm going to keep this one, and I will throw back a Refurbished Familiar and say done. The opponent also keeps at 6, so let's play a Rustveil Bridge and pass. Now, just for clarification, a single tap land into a Candy Trail is not a hand that I love to keep. Candy Trail is pretty good with 2 tap lands or a single untap land, but not being able to play this on 1 before to set up my next draw and make sure I hit my land is not ideal. But we are just a skilled player and we get there, so let's go ahead and go Drossforge Bridge, Candy Trail, and right now we are looking very Affinity-like to the opponent. So let's see if that impacts their play in any way. I do like a bridge coming up next. We will draw it, and then the thing that we get after that is going to be randomized anyway, most likely, because of the Cleansing Wildfire, but I'm fine with a Thraben Inspector, if it does come to that, if we can't Wildfire. The opponent, I should also say, played a Manor Gate, so they are probably on the... Alright, green-black, huh? Probably Fog. Yeah, probably Turbo Fog. So taking out their Heap Gate is quite important. So that might be something that I do. But maybe with a later Cleansing Wildfire, I think for now I just need to get my own mana right. Yes. So Tithing Blades are not going to be amazing here. Do we get another black source? No, let's get another white source. There's a Tithing Blade. Called it. Alright. So... while Tithing Blade is not going to be great, Refurbished Familiar is better, so I could use that to kind of pick apart their hand. They do have things that they can sort of safely put into the graveyard, Moment's Peace, things like that, but at least that's only 1 turn of fogging instead of 2, if that happens. We hit another land, okay. I can just discard 3 cards here, I think? Or is it 2? I think it's 2. They lose a gate. Okay, fine. Glinthawk. Yes. Pick up the Refurbished Familiar. They lose another land. Okay, fine. They're feeling pretty flooded right now. And let's just play our other Glinthawk and pass the turn. We will be discarding a third card of theirs coming up soon, and probably drawing off the Candy Trail. We can start to get in with some creature beats here, so we're getting value simultaneously with aggression, so that's pretty nice. I'm expecting a Deadly Dispute out of them to be able to drop to 7 at some point, and they're also holding up a Fog starting now. Not a huge problem, at least yet. Let's attack. They take it. Okay, fine. Now I think I want to Refurbish Familiar. And we do have to be a little bit cognizant of Crypt Rats here. They could Crypt Rats for 2. How much do I want to play into that? I think we kind of have to. We have to pressure them. They'll Deadly Dispute now to get their pick of the litter on what they want to discard. Reckoner's Bargain instead. Okay. Losing what? Losing a Moment's Peace. Okay, there it is. And then we can... Let's Thraben Inspector and crack the Clue, because my life doesn't really matter for a while, and I might need to pick this back up for some reason. And let's leave open white and black for my sorcery speed spells. A Plains is fine. I can use that to crack the Candy Trail and keep playing the game. Another draw spell, okay. So they've got one Fog in the grave right now. And there's the Crypt Rats. Okay. Well, you can't play around that forever. We have to make sure to play relatively quickly here. We could take the Heap Gate off the table. I think at this point that's fine. I think we have enough mana. Let's take that away from them. And red and white. Select a Swamp, sure. Let's crack that Clue. And Refurbish Familiar. They'll discard a Tangle. Okay. I wonder if they are playing Campfire in the main deck. That would be a reason to bring in the relics. Let's attack first. See if they are inclined to Fog here. Not much. Okay. Now let's try a Synth. What are they doing during their end step is the question. They can't Eviscerator's Insight twice. So is this mana just going to waste, perhaps? Maybe. Okay, let's crack this Clue. And Limbus. A Mountain, not really. Core Skyfisher will be fine. Fanatical Offering is okay. And Eviscerator's Insight. There's the Insight. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana right now. I'm currently swinging in for 3 damage. I could try to Tithing Blade here, just in case they don't have a draw spell for this plant token. I guess it's kind of like, when else am I going to do it? It works. Okay. Let's attack. And then what do I start bouncing with the Skyfisher? There's a Tangle. Okay. I don't think I played a land yet this turn, so I'm pretty sure that I can safely core Skyfisher, bounce the Synth. There is an Inspector. That's fine. And I'll pass. I don't want to overdevelop into a Crypt Rats necessarily. So we know they still have a Moment's Peace in the graveyard. Okay, we lose some stuff, it's fine. Limbus, okay. Let's crack a Clue. Now let's attack. And then try a Synth. They take it, okay. So they can Moment's Peace next turn, makes sense. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do it. What do I pay with? This one. They're going to draw some cards. 2 Eviscerator's Insight on Olympus, makes sense. Drawing 2. And then discarding a... Oh, they haven't discarded yet. Discard a land, fine. Okay, now let's go ahead and flip our Tithing Blade with an Inspector. And pass. They're going to want to be doing the same thing. I think they're playing Tithing Blade. We should yield to that trigger. Let's try to attack. Let's see if they use the Graveyard Moment's Peace here. Respite. Okay, so they prevent damage and heal. Very interesting. I haven't really seen that one before. Alright, then what else? Another Tithing Blade, perhaps? No, let's hold off on that, I think. Let's Lembus. Clan Shaman is not really the move. Glinthawk is fine. It allows me to do some more work with the Synth. Finding a land, that's okay. And then I will pass. Cracking a Limbus, sure. And I'm kind of planning to crack a Limbus myself. And the other one. Okay. So they don't have draw spells right now. That's what I'm seeing. So now they're just going to try to fog for a while. Heaped Harvest, okay. So they could sack that to get a land. Let's crack a Lembas. Alright, there's this trigger. Let's yield to it. And let's attack. Hopefully not a Tangle or Respite. Although it wouldn't be the end of the world, I suppose. Deadly Dispute the Heaped Harvest to get a land. Sure. And Moment's Peace from the graveyard. Fine. Okay. Let's Synthesizer. Get a land. Okay. Let's Tithing Blade and flip with another Inspector. And I could absolutely play out a Thraben Inspector or a Refurbished Familiar here. I'm keeping them in the hand because of the Crypt Rats. Wellspring, okay. So we have one more Tithing Blade in the deck, I think. Drain 2. Let's attack. Fog, sure. And what else do I play here? I think I'm just fine passing. I'm draining each turn. I can crack a Lembas, get it back, etc. There's a Heap Gate. Okay, that's going to start to be a problem. So I need to look for a Cleansing Wildfire. There's a Campfire. Okay. So that can help them get their gates back. They do play Campfire. That's a problem. Lembas. 2 Campfires. Oh my goodness. How are we going to get rid of their card advantage here? I guess Refurbished Familiars. Alright, let's attack. There's a Moment's Peace. Sure. Make them use it. And then we'll discard some other stuff. Okay. They like having that in the graveyard too. And that. Alright. Let's keep going. So this is a great Crypt Rats for them now. Because I think that we are 1 mana short of doing everything we need to do. So I'm going to stop. Do I stop here? Okay, they're going to draw. So we can discard some more irrelevant stuff. And now they have a nice Crypt Rats. So I cannot commit to the board any more than I already have. Okay, they get rid of a Darkness. Pass. They have 4 healing per turn, and they can make treasures. And they're not going to deck out because of the Campfire. Wildfire is interesting. Let's attack. Moment's Peace, sure. So that's gone for good. Let's take them off of this Heap Gate. They're going to make a treasure. Sure. And let's take them off of the other Heap Gate. Yep. Alright, and then let's pass. They don't have another Moment's Peace in the grave right now. Okay, they can Reckoner's Bargain a Lembas, sure. And heal once. Twice if they want to spend a treasure. There's another Heap Gate. Okay, they found their 4th one. Got it. They're healing once. Healing twice. Okay, so they're not shuffling back in right now. Let's attack. This is absolutely a time matchup here. And I might be able to eventually break through, but I think I have not been playing quite fast enough. Okay, there's a Moment's Peace. Let's try to get them to, like, use another one so they can't shuffle it back in. Making some treasures. No, Eviscerator's inciting a treasure. Yep. Okay. So they have 2 Insight, 2 Moment's Peace gone, which is something. Crypt Rats, okay. Just for 3. And then are you going to also sack it in response to its ability with an Eviscerator's Insight? Yes. Okay. That's fine. This is what we've been saving up our cards in our hand for, at least a little bit. Okay. So let's Skyfisher. Pick up the Synth. Synth reveals Lembas. Lembas is fine. Let's use it. I don't know if I should be doing this. It takes time, and it doesn't really add more pressure. No, that's fine. Another Synth is not really where I want to be right now, so let's play a Bridge and an Inspector and pass. Keep hitting land drops, okay. So you can attack here, and they'll probably take it. Oh, I forgot to crack my clue, my mistake. That's fine. I feel like those micro decisions don't super matter right now. At this point, I have to win game 1, or else I won't have time to finish the match, so I'm not going to concede here, because I can't win 2 games in 5 minutes each. Campfire, yep, they're just going to heal that off. Makes sense. I should yield to that. I mean, technically I shouldn't, because I have Galvanic Blast, but I probably should for time. Can play that. And let's crack a clue right now. Cast down doesn't do anything, and I'm going to hold off on the Synth, so let's pass. I don't think I need more lands, so maybe I should probably crack a Synth there to get a 2-2. Sure. Sure. Yielding to that makes it annoying if I'm trying to sacrifice it myself, but it's okay, I guess. Yeah, I probably had to get in a little bit more with the synths. Getting all their Lembuses, because their deck is almost out of stuff. Weather the Storm, okay. And another, okay. I thought I wouldn't have to click through this. Alright, that's fine. I mean, it's 2 cards out of their hand, so even though they're at 1,000,000 life, I don't super mind. Alright, let's attack. I'm gonna play my synth instead of cracking it for now. Glint Hawk is fine. Bounce the synth. Yes. Move over. Land, okay. Sure. Bottom. Another synth. I think I'm good. Let's crack one. Lose a land. I'm not worried about it. And pass. So they can heal 2. Then we're getting in for 7. And at this point they can take such a beating. There's their Basilisk Gate. And heal Spellbomb, fine. Crack the Spellbomb, okay. 4 cards in hand, 2 cards in deck. Got it. So I think what I would need to bring in is Artifact Hate for the Campfires, probably. Let's play let's attack. They can just take damage. That's fine. Let's play a Synth. Find a Galvanic Blast, point it here. Because I have the cast down for their plant when they Basilisk Gate it. And let's play I still haven't played a land, so I can Synth again. There's the land. And pass. Yep. So they're going to crack all their Lembuses, potentially. So they have a Lembus and a something. Making blue. Okay. For what? Are they going to do a big Crypt Rats? Do they have a Toxin? Stream of Thought. You're playing that? Usually they don't play that. I can't deal with that one. Okay. Yep, GG's. Well, they got me. And we can't close out 2 more games in 6.5 minutes. So let's just go ahead and concede. We never said good luck, have fun. That's why we lost. All right. We're 2-2. Let's try to make it a 3-2 and finish strong. Concede. See you in the final one. Welcome back. We are in our 5th and final round, going up against Mr. Twin, who I believe has the record for the most trophies across Pauper in general. So I'm expecting we might be against some kind of mono-red situation. This is absolutely... I'd never heard of them until I looked at the leaderboards, and I saw that they were number 1, so let's see how we do. Going second is not amazing if they really are playing mono-red, but let's find out what they're doing. Goblin Tomb Raider, sure, just a 1-2, not a big problem. We have the Mountain, so we can Galvanic Blast it immediately, but I think it's probably better to Rustveil Bridge first. So, if they already have a Clockwork Percussionist, they wouldn't have played Tomb Raider on 1, but they might have an Implement. Or an Experimental Synthesizer, that'll do. They have they exile their Galvanic Blast, let's see if they hit a land. Okay, they are stuck on 1 land. That's pretty good news. So what this means is that I can play my other tap land and pass. And just prepare to Galvanic Blast this. I could play Thraben Inspector and Mountain, I suppose, but I think this is fine. Yet again, no second land quite yet. Here's the Galvanic Blast. And now we are kind of set up, and they are kind of stuck. If they get another land, they're chillin'. They can do Kuldotha things, but let's think about what we're going to do here. We're not synthing ourselves. We can't Thraben plus Skyfisher. So I think maybe I just go Thraben Candy Trail here and put down another tap land. And is that Rustveil or Drossforge? I think it's another Rustveil to get my next white source. Technically I should look at the top of the deck first, but I don't have an alternate play here really. An alternative would have been to Candy Trail and then try to synth into my land drop. That's possible. But I think I have enough lands and I just want to hit real cards. So I'm good with both of these actually. Lembus and Novice Inspector, so let's go top. Next turn I can Lembus and Skyfisher it back. That's fine with me. Pass. That'll help me to start to build a little bit of a board. There's their second land. They found it. Do they have a Kuldotha? If they do, then they wouldn't have played the land first. So on 2 mana, okay, they pass. I mean, they concede. Alright, so for the sideboard, we have Navigator's Compass. We have Dawnbringer Cleric. And do I want the Cast into the Fire? It's okay. Absolutely the Krark Clan Shaman. I think I'm fine without the Cast into the Fire. I think in these matchups, I've generally been pulling out the Cleansing Wildfires. If it'll let me click, please. Okay, it's bugging out again. Oh dear. Alright, let's try to close the client and see if this will work. Okay, there's a return to game button. Dawnbringer Cleric's in. Krark in. I said Krark in. Please! Navigator's Compass is in, and what do I take out? I was taking out the Cleansing Wildfires, and I'll take out a Candy Trail, an Inspector. We'll take out an Inspector. We'll try to take out an Inspector and submit. Oh my goodness, this is really frustrating. But we were able to get through. Okay, so there's a return to game button. Very important to understand. Mr. Twin is thinking about whether they want to play first. So, they're not here yet. I am just going to chill for a second until they join, and then we will resume. I'll see you all in a minute. Oh, they're here. Never mind. And we get an unkeepable starting hand. We must mulligan. It had the Navigator's Compass. No. This one looks fine. I can keep that. What do I mulligan? They start with 7. So they've got a fast start. They're going first. Synthesizer is going to be a little hard to use. Let's keep and put back a synth for now. I'm just going to take the things that help me to develop to the board and to remove their cards. Okay, swing 1, sure. I think I should play a Goldmire in case I pick up an Inspector. If I find a basic, do I just play it and play a Core Skyfisher as a blocker? 2 mana, cast into fire, that's fine. Deal 1. I mean, it slows me down, so it's not amazing, but it's okay. Let's try again. I will pass. Synthesizer, okay. Great Furnace. Tomb Raider. And swing for 3. Okay, I'm at 15. This is looking rough. Chain Lightning. Kuldotha Rebirth. Okay. Even worse for me, I think. Did I actually put in the Krark Clan Shaman, or did I miss it when I was panicking? Okay, good. I put in the Krark Clan Shaman. Oh my goodness. Let's Candy Trail. We have to find an answer in the top couple cards here. Synthesizer won't do it. Tithing Blade won't do it. Right? Did our land drop? Pass. We go down to 10 at best. Synthesizer, okay. So they've got plenty of cards to do things with. Galvanic Blast. Okay. Hit me for 4. And then for 5. I'm down to 6 life. Sounds amazing. So here I have Voldaren Epicure, okay. I can loot away a land. Probably just double Refurbished Familiar? Or single Refurbished Familiar and then Galvanic Blast? I think double Refurbished Familiar to drill deeper myself. Okay, they're just blasting me. And I think I lose. There's a land. I can Refurbish Familiar again. That's not going to be good enough. But nothing else keeps us in the game. Alright, concede. They can get in for 3 damage. Alright, so we're going first this time, which is good. We had to mulligan and they didn't that time. So if we're going first, how do we feel about duress? Meh. Meh. I think I want to go up on Inspectors, actually, and down on Core Skyfishers, because it's just a little slow. If the game will allow me, please. There we go. Anything else? I could have Cast into the Fire. I don't think it's good enough. I don't know if they're playing, whether they're playing Glacky or Blast Runner, it doesn't hit it. And it doesn't kill the Tomb Raider either. I think I can resubmit like this. Trade a Skyfisher for an Inspector. Okay, this looks keepable. They'll also start with 7. Okay, and let's lead with a Rustvale Bridge into a Tithing Blade or a Novice Inspector. I could have taken out the Thraben Charm. I do that sometimes. Usually I just didn't really see it. But it's also not that bad. It's still removal. No Tomb Raider. Nice. Okay, Goldmire Bridge and Novice Inspector. And then whichever land they take me off of, I can still Tithing Blade, but if they're taking me off of a land, then Tithing Blade wouldn't do anything, so Galvanic Blast that, that's fine. Next turn I have Refurbished Familiar and Thraben Charm or Tithing Blade. Probably Tithing Blade. Gorilla Shaman. Okay, then maybe Thraben Charm. Could attack my Clue. Okay, let's make it Thraben Charm. And then the Refurbished Familiar can trade with the Goblin Tomb Raider. The Gorilla Shaman is not, like, amazing here, but let's use the Thraben Charm while we can. Wait. Let's just make sure we clicked on the right thing. This one. Pass. We played our land. We've got Tithing Blade next turn. Hopefully no Kuldotha Rebirth. That'd be a little bit annoying. They do have Kuldotha Rebirth. Okay, so Tithing Blade is worse. Do they have the Bushwhacker? They do have the Bushwhacker. Oh my gosh, it just keeps happening, doesn't it? Okay, well, we will kill the Tomb Raider and take 8. Amazing. We're at 10, and then they have 3 1/1s on the board. So we'll go down to 7 if we Tithing Blade plus nothing. We could Lembas now. So let's Lembas here, because I can still Mountain and Goldmire Bridge to do anything I want to. We don't want that. Bottom. Alright, another Lembas. That's fine. Hopefully not another Bushwhacker, because we don't die to that, not quite. It would put us to 2. And then maybe we could Lembas to heal some of it off, stuff like that, but we'll see. Land and Percussionist, okay. Alright, so I want to get the Glint Hawk down. And I want to heal. I can't do all of this stuff. I have an odd amount of mana. I think I need to stabilize my life total. So I'm going to Glint Hawk back the Tithing Blade. Let's see, do I play this right now? If I do, then what can happen? I can die to a burn spell. They would need double burn spell off the top, and they're not Metalcraft. But if I Tithing Blade, then they get a second card off of that one. Alright, I'll just pass. Oh, I can play my Goldmire Bridge. Let's do that in the second main phase. Pass. Stabilize the life total. Don't block this thing. Block the Bushwhacker or a token. Doesn't really matter. Let's heal. And then block. Alright, so what now? Do we Lembas heal again? I think so. Try to find a playable 1-drop or a land, so I can also like Tithing Blade or Core Skyfisher. Actually, I can Core Skyfisher and replay a basic. That's probably what I should do. And then still have the Lembas heal. This is good, though. Pass. So I will heal and block 2, take 1, go down to 8. Okay, well we can block that. Alright, they scoop! Let's go. We get the 3-2. We beat Mr. Twin. Recognizable player, very fun. To stabilize the life total plan ended up working out. Alright, that is game 5, so I will see you in the outro and recap in just a minute. Be right there. Hey, welcome back. Let's talk about the league. So overall, I really enjoyed my time today playing this deck. Like I said, it's one of my favorites out there. And we managed to get a 3-2, which I think is overall pretty fair, beating a couple of meta decks along the way and losing to a couple as well. So overall, I feel like the matchup spread for this deck is actually quite even. It seems like there are very few matchups that we're extremely soft into when I think about the field. When I think about White Weenie, we've got the Krark Clan Shamans to deal with their ground creatures and the Flyers to deal with their 1/1s. Against Mono Blue Terror, we've got Edicts for them. Against Broodscale, we have a ton of interaction. Against Affinity, I think we might be a little bit soft, but at the same time, we have some good stuff in the sideboard. We've got a couple of Duress, a couple of Cast into the Fire. We've got the Graveyard Hate. So I don't think that there are very many matchups that we are just basically leaving completely unanswered. Even Mono Red, bringing in the Krark Clan Shamans, has been pretty nice to help with that matchup, and these also help to clean up versus Elves. So again, overall, I am quite pleased. There are a couple of changes that you could definitely make, so let's go into some of those. first I want to analyze a couple of the experiments that I was conducting in this current build of the deck, because it's a bit different than the one that I usually bring to my LGS. Number one, the one of Candy Trail. This wasn't, a huge addition to the deck. It's just a one of, so I don't want to overrate any impact that it might have had. This used to be a main deck Omen of the Dead. Omen of the Dead, I feel like, is a little bit too greedy of an option. I think it's pretty rare that in game one you'll really need all of that recursion to keep bouncing and bringing back your core Skyfisher. You've got so much, value in the rest of the deck that I don't think you really need that. And I prefer just sort of the early turn hand smoothing of the Candy Trail, and it also provides some nice healing against mono red, of course. And the other main experiment that I was running was including the Krark Clan Shaman in the main deck, which I do like. I don't think that I would really go higher on this, definitely not more than like 2 in the main deck. And the main reason for that is in this build, as opposed to straight Affinity, the cost is actually irrelevant cost, and you usually have to sacrifice a couple of lands, or in the best case scenario, maybe a couple of Lembuses that you would have preferred to maybe heal off of. So there is a downside to the Krark Clan Shaman, but still it's a 1-mana spell. You can play it off of your Experimental Synthesizer. It can sort of board wipe as high as you need it to, as long as you're sufficiently developed. It really helps you in those go-wide matchups, so I like it quite a bit. It also helps against walls, anything where they just fold to a board wipe. In the sideboard, we also had a couple of experiments, but we weren't able to try them super often. I can't remember if there were any matchups where I actually brought in the Omen of the Dead. I still think this is a totally fine include, especially if they're not including Graveyard Hate, and it helps to add some additional grind power, but I just don't think it's sufficiently necessary to put it in the main deck. The second Krark Clan Shaman, I think, was good. The Navigator's Compasses, they did not actually end up coming up. I don't think we really saw them in a hand that was keepable in either of our mono-red matchups, so this is something that I would continue to have my eye on to see if it actually shows promise, and if the life gain is worth it, or if I would rather just be playing something else that's more impactful. I don't know, maybe Breath Weapons, another Krark Clan Shaman, maybe put in the Cast Into the Fires versus the mono-red matchup. I'm not really sure. On that note, Cast Into the Fire was pretty good. The ability to deal with some 1/1s came up. I think I might have used this against an Elves opponent one time, I'm not sure. Or just exiling a bridge. It can also take out a Campfire. A lot of different pesky artifacts. It can take out a Consuming Sepulcher, a flipped Tithing Blade. Very flexible. And then Relic of Progenitus, just having some Graveyard Hate, I think, in the sideboard for whatever matchup you might run into is pretty handy. This is very handy versus the mono-blue matchup, or any terror matchup that is, and it's also pretty good versus Affinity. So I like the Relic a decent bit. Some other changes that you might consider making, again, are for the Affinity matchup. You might consider changing around the sideboard to better answer that. For me, I've got the Duresses, potentially the Omen of the Dead, the Cast Into the Fires, and the Relic, so that's already a decent bit. But if you feel like that's sort of not enough hate for the Affinity matchup, you absolutely could play Dust to Dust. You have enough white pips in the deck to pull it off. I just don't really like playing anything that's greater than a 2-drop if I can avoid it, because it can sort of reduce your consistency with storming off with the Experimental Synthesizer. So, you can make whatever choice you think is appropriate there. You could also be playing Revoke Evil instead of Cast Into the Fire. Revoke Evil has the, has some crossover with Dawnbringer Cleric, so I wouldn't really play Revoke Evil and Dawnbringer, but if you take out Dawnbringer, you have to ask yourself what you're doing for mono red. So overall, I feel like Cast Into the Fire provides sort of better coverage. Overall, I think that is about it. Again, I think I said this in the intro, but this deck is super cheap if you want to try it out yourself. You can buy the whole deck for about the cost of a league. I think it's under $10 or right around $10. So, if you're a budget player and you don't want to always shell out for the new hotness in Pauper on MTGO, this one won't really break the bank, and it will include a lot of cards that will be useful otherwise as well, in just about any white, red, or black deck you're thinking of trying out. So that's about it. Remember, if you liked this video and you want to see more Pauper content like this, please leave a like, a comment, and a subscription. It really helps me in the algorithm. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.